No. Say whatever. Okay, so
You say serious one, Lou. I'm serious, you're not.
oh my god. Okay.
Emang gue kelihatannya jelek banget. Maybe I need to be here one though. Huh? See, I think I look stupid.
So, the topic of today's video is the difference between playing on a main tour and a mini tour. And we have my friend over here, Tatiana, who is shooting the pin and
Hi!
not caring. Yeah, so we played on the WAPT together this year. We kind of knew each other from before already. She's from Indonesia, which is obviously like the neighbor of Malaysia. So yeah, we've known each other since junior golf days, and we wanted to make a video about our experience playing the WAPT and some differences between the main tour and the mini tour that a lot of people might not know. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is straight from the beginning, entry fees. So an entry fee to join a mini tour event, it's around $500 bucks. $500. So we also played, okay, so what I mean by main tour is like, for instance, the tours that both of us played in Asia, which is like Taiwan LPGA, China LPGA. Those are actually main tours. So mini tour, we'll explain more later, but basically a main tour is like, the reason why things like entry fees are cheaper is because the main tours have sponsors that are sponsoring the tour and giving the prize money for the tour, whereas for mini tours, basically our entry fee is going to be the prize money. So that's why the entry fees for mini tours are a lot higher than main tours. I think the entry fee for Taiwan was like 200 ringgit.
Was it?
Maybe, like, which is like $50, if I'm not mistaken.
Or it's not over $200 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah.
not like even half the amount of money that we're paying here just for entry fee. So I think that is the number one difference, and obviously that is solely based on the fact that there's sponsors sponsoring the tour. That's a main tour. So yeah, that's the number one difference between a main tour and a mini tour. Okay, the second difference I think is regarding caddies. So most of the main tours will require caddies, not all, as Symmetra does not, but most require caddies. And like, for instance, when you play on the WAPT, most of the girls just push their own bags. And a big factor why is because obviously when you're playing on the mini tour, the money isn't as good. So paying for a caddy for a week is going to be like way above our budgets. So that is why most people on the smaller tours tend to push their own bags. Yeah, I think if you hire a caddy for a week here in the US,
It's around 1,000 to 1,500.
yeah.
Usually
So
for the whole week, yeah.
So if you include that with like entry fees, that's already $2,000. And I think if you finish like, I don't know, 15, top 10 on the mini tour, maybe you'll make back the money. If not, you won't even cover that. And that's not including like hotel and stuff like that as well. So most of the time, people just tend to push their own bags. Okay. The third thing we wanted to talk about was regarding course conditions. Sorry, there's a lot of cars. Okay, I think length-wise, they're pretty similar. If anything, they usually set it up around like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
And then obviously there's going to be shorter ones. I think there might be more shorter ones for the mini tours and that's mainly because we don't get to play on obviously like the best courses around the area. I think it also depends a lot on which country you're playing a mini or main tour in. Like for instance, when you play in Taiwan, the golf courses there are just, the greens and stuff are not going to be as good just because of typhoons and stuff like that. Yeah, like what else?
And course condition wise, I think for the mini tour, not the mini tours, for the bigger tours, you kind of expect everything to be in mint condition, like the fairways, the greens, and the bunkers. But for us, for the mini tour courses, might be not 100%. You know, we might have good fairways, but then maybe less, not too good greens, or the other way around. We still play on really good courses. It's just, you know, it's like 100% mint or like.
Yeah, I think there's
slightly
just
less,
like more variability with like the courses that we play. Whereas on like the LPGA, for instance, they're always playing on greens that are like 10, 11 speed. Yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest difference in terms of course conditions. Okay, the fourth thing that we wanted to talk about is actually the people on the tour. So I think we have a little bit of a different idea about this, or like perspective about this. So I'm gonna say mine and you can say yours. So my perspective is that like playing in Korea, obviously I've never played on the LPGA, but like in Korea, which is a big tour, most of the people already have their own teams. So they travel with like a manager, a caddy, you know, their parents, their nutritionist, trainer, whatever. Generally they have a team that they're traveling with. So most of the time they keep to themselves. So it's kind of like if you're on the LPGA tour, chances are you're just gonna be focused on yourself. Whereas on like the tours like the WAPT that I played on, so the WAPT is like my first mini tour, so that's my only like thing to base it off. But on the WAPT, I feel like most people are there still trying to find their footing. So I feel like that tour is a lot more of like a family aspect. Like, you know, we have like a WhatsApp chat group of like everybody trying to help each other. Like, here's recommendations of where to eat, stuff like that. But I don't think that really happens on the LPGA except like maybe for like small friend groups. So I think it's just like different kind of, more like family versus like alone, if that sounds right.
Yeah, and I think the biggest from my experience is obviously the intensity of it. Like on LPGA or even Symmetra, I played a couple tournaments on Symmetra. Exactly like you said, everyone was very already like individualistic, as in focus on my own thing. I mean, we all focus on our own thing, but for the mini tour, I feel like it's still more like I don't how do I say it? Yeah, it's a little bit like,
we're not trying to sound mean, but it's just like
a bit more like casual.
Yeah,
not like
it's
casual,
not casual,
but it's not casual. But like it's just more happy vibe, you know, instead of like more focus oriented. So we're still focused, you know. That's not what I'm trying to say, but it's just more like.
I also think like one of the things that makes a difference with that aspect is that like there's a lot of players on the mini tours that might not be 100% focused on playing golf.
Yeah.
And that's because like, you know, it's not easy to get on the LPGA. Only a handful of girls get on there every year. So, and if you're not on a big tour, you're not going to make that much money. So a lot of these players are also like coaching or like, you know, just working. So golf for them could be, I mean, not for everyone. Like for us, it's our main thing.
Yeah.
And we were playing on the WAPT. So it's not for everyone, but like there's a lot of girls out there who's like playing professional golf is their passion, but it might not be their number one priority. So I guess that's why there's a different level of intensity.
Yeah, and they just want to be like in competition mode, but because obviously for us playing WAPT at the start of the year, we wanted to skip stage 1, things like that. But other people might, you know, just want to compete.
Yeah.
And just play. Yeah. Competition. Yeah.
Okay, so together with what we said just now about the people, one of the differences is obviously with a mini tour, you don't have to go for a qualifying school or Q school as most of us call it. And for a main tour, you usually do. So yeah, that's why there's also different people, because obviously if you don't make the main tour, you have to play a mini tour because you can't go on a tour if you don't go for Q school or if you don't pass Q school. And most of the time, it's actually very few people. Like I remember when I played in China and Taiwan, it's like 30 people out of like hundreds that get their card. So the remaining people will have to like play on a mini tour. Well, what do you want to say about?
About what?
What did we just talk about? Oh, world ranking.
Oh yeah. If you, well, actually, there's another way. So there's the WAPT way, going through Q school way, and playing on whatever tour like Asia or Europe. Just get your ranking up to 400, right?
Yeah. So if you get in the top 400, you get to skip the first stage of Q school and go straight to the second stage. And on the second stage, you basically are like good to play Symmetra.
Yeah, so technically, if you're really good, if you're like competitive on like Japanese tour or mostly Japanese, right?
Well, Japanese, Korean,
Or Korea.
even Taiwan and China, you can
Really?
get in like,
Yeah,
because there's a few people that are playing on those tours that are going straight to stage 2.
yeah,
Obviously, they've had the advantage of playing over this COVID
Yeah.
period, which we have not. So yeah, I think we need to explain as well, like to get world ranking points, you either need to play on a main tour. So like a small tour like the WAPT, we cannot get world ranking points. So that's one of the reasons why obviously we all want to be on a bigger tour. Well, one of the reasons. Yeah, because playing on the WAPT the entire year, you don't get any points, which does not help towards going for other stages of Q school or even like for the Olympics. So a lot of people were asking like why we didn't play the Olympics, stuff like that. Is because first of all, it actually has not been that long since we turned pro,
yeah.
and like a lot of people have been playing for a long time, and you need to even like get in the world ranking, and then you play on a big tour, and then every time you finish well enough or you make the cut, you get points. But if you don't get on the world ranking, you can't get points at all.
Yeah, and sometimes
So-
also the toughest, also to get into the tournaments that have world ranking is also a challenge.
Yeah.
Unless you have like full status here or there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you play like in the Korean tour, it's a lot. Okay, so the bigger the tour, the easier it is to get points. Like you can finish like maybe 30th on the LPGA and get the same amount of points as someone that finishes like
Top
third
three.
in
Yeah.
like China. So yeah, the point system, it's kind of hard to explain, but like yeah, that's one of the reasons why obviously more people want to go for the main tour and not the mini tour. But yeah, like we said, like there's a few reasons why we play the mini tour as well. So like for instance, getting to skip first stage and stuff like that, and also getting like Symmetra exemptions for people who don't have their cards on Symmetra tour. That was a good thing for us as well, like top 2 getting Symmetra exemptions.
Yeah, because I
So-
think that's the biggest thing for us earlier. Well, at the start of the year, the reason for us to play WAPT
Yeah.
is to give ourselves the chance to maybe we can skip stage 1 because that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so summary of our video. I think my personal experience on the WABT, really good. I think the tour is very well run. The people, the staff, the owner Gary and Katie, who's our tournament director, all super nice, super helpful. And the only thing that I would say is take this with a grain of salt, but like I would say WAPT is a very great tour for people who are number one, like coming out of college or just don't have a tour to play on. But would I continue playing on it? Probably not. And the reason why is because first, it's expensive and it's really hard to make money. That's just the reality of it. But yeah, I would definitely take it as like a filler tour. It sounds bad to say that, but I mean, it's a really good tour. It's just that it's really hard to make money, and you just have to understand that the tour itself doesn't have many sponsors, so it relies on us to pay our own prize money, and like it's just tough to make money on a tour like that. And as we said before, like you can't get world ranking points. So yeah, it's a really good tour, like intermediate tour, would you call it? Like an in-between tour,
Yeah.
but it's probably not something that you would play on for the long run. I mean,
Exactly.
unless that's what you want, that's completely fine. Really good tour if that's what you want. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my experience on the WAPT. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, exactly like you said, it's for those who are just starting out, and obviously it's not something that we want to do long term. It is a great tour for new professionals getting experience traveling by ourselves. And again, all the WAPT family, they're so nice and really want us to make it to the next level.
Yeah.
That aspect is great. But yeah, obviously we all want to make it to the bigger ones.
Even Gary tells us, Gary, the owner of the tour, is always telling us, he's like, I love having you here, but I do not want to see you here for a long time.
Exactly.
So I don't think they'll be offended by
Yeah.
us saying this, but obviously it's just a tour it's a really good tour, but not a tour that you want to be on for forever.
Exactly. That's what I think they call it, like a step up to
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, so that is our thoughts, explanation of the difference between a main and mini tour, and yeah, just our experience playing the WAPT. So
I hope it makes sense.
yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more Golf with Jen. And thanks to Thea for coming on our video today. Fellow Indonesians, leave a comment down below.
Halo semua.
All right,
Bye, yeah.
bye.